The basics. What you need to know. Holism versus reductionism. Systems biology. We are bacteria, and bacteria is influenced by gas. Regulating bacteria and gasotransmitters. A one-size-fits-all approach has limitations, and health is crafting the garden within. Holism versus reductionism. The first important thing to understand is that although Chinese medicine may be thousands of years old, culturally, the Chinese civilization had a different way of looking at and examining the world than the West. In the West, all of our perceptions are reductionistic. Every molecule and atom is broken down and taken apart into its counterparts again and again in the attempt to find out more and more about it. In the East, the perceptions are more focused on holism, meaning instead of focusing on one part of one system, the whole system is looked at in combination with each other. This is a bird's eye perspective of looking at things, and doing things in this way means that the totality of the environment and bigger picture can be examined. Chinese medicine evolved out of such holistic principles, and because of this, diseases which were once thought to be incurable and still make no sense in modern medicine have been treated by Chinese medicines for thousands of years using holism as its base. Systems biology. In the modern world, this system of looking at how everything is connected is starting to reinvent itself and has been introduced more largely to the West in the past few decades as systems biology. Like Chinese medicine, systems biology focuses on taking a look at the bigger picture of both the internal environment within the body as well as the external environment and how they influence each other, but more on this later. We are bacteria. Bacteria is influenced by gas. Billions of years ago, when the planet was empty of creatures, the first life on this planet came from bacteria being released from hydrothermal vents. These vents were usually near volcanic activity, and what comes out of volcanoes? Gas. Literally, the first pools of life on this planet came from a fissure on the seafloor releasing geothermally charged water. Slowly, over time, this bacteria became more and more complex until eventually it became us. The first life that existed on this planet were bacteria, and they were directly correlated with the presence of gas. This is important because in modern times it's easy to think that humans are some entity which is separate from our environment, that we are humans and everything else is bacteria and nature. But in reality, we are bacteria, and bacteria that is heavily influenced by gas. There are trillions of bacteria, fungi, and viruses that live inside our body, and they outnumber our own endogenous DNA by 10 to 1. The gut also sends 10 times more signal to the brain than the brain does to the gut. Even 90% of our serotonin production happens in the gut and not the brain. No matter how we think of ourselves, our bodies are much more bacteria than human, and we are influenced far more by bacteria than we are by factors which are thought to be so-called inherently human. Regulating bacteria. A lot of the time, what we think of as sickness in a particular system like the bowels or the kidneys are not necessarily because these systems are at fault themselves. More often than not, in fact, these systems can no longer function correctly because the collective network of the microbiome in the body has become unbalanced, and this has blocked these systems from working as optimally as they should. Microbiome equals all the bacteria, fungi, and viruses inside the body. Directly, microbes can block the functioning of vital systems in the body, like we see in the case of microbes hijacking your endocrine system and causing systemic problems throughout the body. And indirectly, these microbes can contribute to inflammation. This inflammation can then confuse a very special group of signaling molecules inside our body called gasotransmitters. Gasotransmitters. Microbes and gases have such an important role in the body that when enough of them proliferate in a way that causes an imbalance to our microbiome, they are intelligent enough to change how the body detects, signals, and fights against disease. When they do alter the way our body detects disease, this phenomenon can be called molecular mimicry. Gasotransmitters send information and signals across membranes and help with cellular communication. They literally regulate every system in your body. When they become too dense, they start destroying tissues and can harm your neurological system. This is associated with brain damage and mental illness. And when they become too low, your cells can stop producing energy altogether, which is needed to maintain homeostasis or balance. Our body is full of sodium-potassium pumps, which are responsible for regulating our extracellular fluid through maintaining a balance of sodium and potassium across our plasma membrane. By doing so, it allows action potential to propagate, which is what allows cells to communicate with each other through nerves firing to other nerves through synapses. If there is not a harmonious balance with gasotransmitters inside the body, our microbiome will be compromised and naughty bacteria and fungus will start to proliferate and eat away at our sodium-potassium pumps. Gasotransmitters regulate our entire body, yet no one in modern science, at least in the consensus, knows how to measure them. One-size-fits-all approach has limitations. In the past, the human body was viewed as a sterile environment. Any pathogenic presence detected in the body was eliminated, things like antibiotics. This approach saved hundreds of millions of lives, but to move forwards and to treat chronic disorders which are currently indecipherable, a new understanding needs to be reached. This understanding involves taking a bird's eye lens, looking at the bigger picture, and learning how to navigate the world of bacteria and gases which operate inside our body and all around us. Modern medicine is incredible, but until there is an understanding of the microbiome and its importance to human health, the causal link will never be reached between a disease that is caused by damage to an endogenous system and a disease being caused by an imbalance of bacteria inside our gut. This is also one of the reasons why lab tests can provide false conclusions, because current tests can't examine the balance of these gasotransmitters in the body. It is impossible to tell if the problem was caused because the cells themselves aren't functioning correctly, or because bacteria has sabotaged the system in general. Molecular mimicry. It's no medical practitioner's fault. The tests simply just don't exist yet. So how do we get an accurate diagnosis and move forwards towards health? Health is crafting the garden within. Microbiome equals bacteria, funguses, and viruses inside the body. Aerobiome equals bacteria, funguses, and viruses which exist outside the body. The microbiome and aerobiome are not separate. They act as the bridge between yourself, other people, and the environment. And the good news is the microbiome and aerobiome can be cultivated like a garden. Because bacteria play such an important role inside our body, the focus in Chinese medicine is taken off simply treating that which we consider endogenous to humans, like the endocrine system and hormones, and moves towards regulating the network of bacteria that exists inside us. This is what systems biology is, and where the new understanding in the West is heading. But it's not so simple, because just like a garden, no two systems are exactly the same. The human body is a series of ecosystems, and there are countless microbial lives and various gases and electrical potential which pass between these ecosystems. Instead of just looking at the negative bacteria inside the body, you need to look at the pathogenic organisms and the beneficial organisms. You need to look at both the evil and the goodness within the garden. When you cultivate a garden, you have to see whether it's winter or summer. You have to see whether the garden is located in a desert or in the tropics. And likewise, inside the body, when you cultivate the microbiome, you need to see what time of year it is, whether the person has conditions in the body that are dry like a desert, cold like the North Pole, or whether it's moist and damp like a swamp. Different methods need to be applied to regulate different conditions inside the body and at different times. And these conditions inside and outside the body need to be understood and then cultivated before any meaningful, long-lasting changes can begin. This is also how an accurate diagnosis and treatment protocol is formulated when molecular mimicry interferes with lab tests. Chinese medicine gets a lot of slack for not having one treatment protocol for one condition. But the truth is, this is one of its big strengths. The fact is, 100 different conditions could be causing the same disease, and one disease may be causing 1,000 different symptoms. This is why Chinese medicine looks at the underlying pattern which exists inside your body while taking into account where you live and what time of the year it is. Through looking at the gut microbiota, through measuring the gastrotransmitters in your body, and by looking at the timing of the pattern and the outside world, Chinese medicine can help guide you back to homeostasis within the body and return to health. This is one way to truly get to the root of a disease. Systems biology is slowly starting to come to these understandings, and as such, in the future, all doctors will be considered gardeners. But right now, Chinese medicine doctors are already master gardeners. For thousands of years, doctors have been recording rich notes of clinical history of both their failures and success through rigorous trial and error. They have a system for mapping microbial environments, and they have ready-made strategies for treating different patterns at different times. Chinese medicine focuses on not looking for diseases, but instead the patterns of microbiomes, on the internal landscape of the garden within. Qi, inside the body, in a medical context, is looked at as the relationship between gas and microbiota. Chinese medicine is all about helping the patient understand themselves through the phenomenon of qi. The more you understand and regulate your qi, the better you will understand yourself through realizing the internal landscape within you. The more you can cultivate this internal microbiome garden within, the more you will be of benefit to the external aerobiome outside. COVID proved that all our biomes are inextricably linked to each other through a planetary-wide network. You are not separate from another person or from your environment, and by finding your own balance of microbes within yourself, you will also be helping treat and balance the external ecosystem in which we all depend on. This is the implication of community health, and your community health starts from within.